What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Eric Bennett for the $20 donation via the Cash App. Salute to you, brother, for showing love to the channel and for your great video ideas. Salute to you, brother, for showing love. So, this is a requested video from one of my subscribers. They wanted me to talk about Mitch McConnell, the 83-year-old sitting United States senator from the state of Kentucky, who recently had another spiel. He fell again in front of cameras. This time, while being asked by activists about ICE and the arrest they've been making across the country, whether or not he supports ICE. And I don't know whether just due to the stress of the situation of being asked these questions while he's trying to walk at the same time and not tumble on his ass. He tumbled on his ass. This is the third time, as I said, in front of cameras that he's tumbled on his ass. The last couple of times I think he was hurt slightly. This time they said he was not injured. That also includes two other instances where Mitch McConnell literally froze in front of the cameras when being asked questions by reporters or speaking. This latest situation, of course, once again brings up the issue of whether or not there should be term limits in Congress.
Excuse me, Senator. My name is Stella. I want to ask, do you support ICE taking working people off the streets and kidnapping them?
Dude.
At one point in time, especially during the Bush administration, the second Bush administration, the Sun administration, Mitch McConnell was a very formidable politician. You could argue in his prime, along with Lyndon Johnson, Mitch McConnell was one of the two most effective Senate majority leaders in the history of this country. But at that time, Mitch was in the 60s. Everybody ages differently. Some people, still, in addition to mental acuity, keep a lot of their physicality up until even when they're in their 90s. Look at Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke will be 100 years old in a couple more months. And the guy still exercises. He's largely independent as far as movement. I think he uses a cane now, but still, you know what I'm saying? Everybody ages differently. But Mitch, I think he should have been retired. And look, these are the falls that we've seen. I'm pretty sure, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure this guy's probably has had accidents when there aren't no cameras around, as far as falling is concerned. But yeah, man, this is a situation that I think is getting out of hand. When you sometimes look at the United States Senate and the House of Representatives, sometimes, man, it's like, damn, it's turning into a nursing home. Okay, we literally had one sitting United States Senator die in office, Dianne Feinstein. In the last couple of years, we saw her deteriorate. You still have people who are at the helm. When I say the helm, the top leadership of the Democratic Party in particular, is very noticeable. Although on the Republican side, there are some elders there too, but I definitely notice on the Democratic side, man, you still have a lot of people, for instance, what's her name? The former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, in her mid 80s at this point. You have Maxine Waters, who has to be 80-ish at this point, somewhere around 80. You had Joe Biden. He's in his early 80s. You have, Bernie Sanders. He's in his mid 80s. You have, just a lot of politicians are up there, man, in age on both sides of the aisle. And it's getting ridiculous. Chuck Grassley, I think he's in his early 90s. So look, this is a problem. And it's a problem that's been going on for a while. Strom Thurmond left the Senate at age 100. Robert Byrd died in office. I remember the man literally couldn't lift his head up from his shoulders at the end. The staffers were largely running his Senate seat. He was just a name that just could be reelected. And at some point in time, man, yeah, there needs to be something done about this. Me personally, I think the cutoff age should be 75. I do. I think the cutoff age should be about 75. I'm sorry. There used to be mandatory retirements up and throughout the federal government. I get it. People are living longer. And I understand that seniors want to still be valued and still are valuable. But we cannot run the risk that we're running right now of so many leaders who are on the verge of falling apart physically. Wasn't there a United States representative? I think it was. I can't remember her name, but I think it was a United States representative who had disappeared for months, only to find out that she had secretly been admitted into a healthcare facility because she had dementia. And she hadn't resigned yet. Look, I don't like to use this term founding fathers, but you got to think like when George Washington and John Adams and all of them were alive, right? When they were creating the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, even though I know it didn't include people who look like my black ass. But, life expectancy was probably like 35 or 40 back then. Now, a lot of it had to do, of course, with infancy deaths. Obviously, that's pushed the median so far down. But still, you didn't have a whole bunch of people back then, a whole platoon of people living into their 80s and 90s. It happened. John Adams lived to be 90. But then again, when you look at it, John Adams was the longest lived president from 1826 when he died all the way until the 20th century when Reagan passed him. And then after Reagan died, Ford became the longest lived president ever. And then after Ford died, George H.W. Bush became the longest lived president ever. And then after he died was Jimmy Carter. So what I'm getting at is people are living longer and longer today. Healthcare, if you have access to it, is the best care we've ever had. Technology is helping them. Technology and medications are helping people live longer than before. There was a point in this country, a time in this country, where hypertension was a slow death sentence because it was almost impossible to control it, especially as you get older. Now we have medications. We have people who have heart disease who can live, depending on what type it is, almost a normal lifespan. So, yes, people can be effective for much longer, but I don't think it's a good idea to have these many people septuagenarians and octogenarians and nonagenarians in office. It's just, and some of it has to do with, look, some of it is people who, I think the baby boomer generation, who are getting older and older and older, they don't want to cede power. And they're turning into the people who they once loathed, who they felt were hanging on to power, right? It's time for new leadership and fresh ideas. And we need people in Washington who are under the age of 50, okay, who are more in tune with America of today. I think these people are more interested in hanging on to power. Look, you got the former governor of Maine, right? I think her name is Janet Mills. She's running to oppose Susan Collins next year because they think that seat in Maine is vulnerable, right? She's a Republican, although Susan Collins has been down before and she came back and won. But Janet Mills is 77. If Janet Mills wins that election, first she has to win the primary against another Democrat who has a lot of momentum. But if somehow she beat him, and she was then able to beat Susan Collins, who's a longtime Republican United States senator, she would be the oldest freshman senator in history. She'd be 79 years old coming into office. Do we really need that? It's ridiculous. And that's another reason why nothing's getting done. You got all these old motherfuckers in there. Come on, man. Old and tired. And I'm not trying to be ageist or none of that, but come on, man. Can't be having senators just falling around, falling all over the place, can't walk, can't hold their head up, snoozing and snoring all over the place. You already got a president that's about to be 80. The goddamn Senate leadership is all in their 70s and 80s. Shit, Elizabeth, what's the senator from Massachusetts? Elizabeth Warren. Isn't she pushing 82? Come on, man. Man, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.